Hi to the people of Brazil. My name is Hillary Whittington, and I live in San Diego, California, U.S. I am the mother of a transgender child who is 8 years old. His name is Rylan Whittington. I also have a little girl who's 4 years old. Her name is Brinley. And I'm hoping to offer some words of support and encouragement to some of the families in Brazil who may have an LGBT child or family member, and even those who possibly don't understand what it means to be gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender. Just a little bit about my background. I come from a very Christian, conservative family, and my husband comes from a very conservative family as well. Our son was born what we thought was our daughter in 2007, and from the very beginning of time he began to scream at the top of his lungs, "I am a boy." And for a while we just thought it was cute and we thought it was a phase, but what we realized was over time that the phase was not ending. Our child would just be so sad if he had to wear a dress or wear a girl's bathing suit, or if people called him a little princess, or there were just so many signs that he wasn't comfortable in his own skin. And he got smart. He started to try to make us happy, and he would say, "Oh, I'm a girl who just likes boy things." But I knew deep down something else was going on. And actually for a short time I thought he would end up being a lesbian because he was so masculine, and I didn't understand what it meant to be transgender. But anyhow, when my child was about 5 years old, I was putting him to bed one night, and he said, "Mom, when the family dies, I'll cut my hair so I can be a boy." And that statement was really powerful to me because I knew that he didn't want to disappoint us by transitioning into a little boy while we were still alive. And that really hurt me because I didn't really know I knew that I had to do something. I knew that I couldn't just watch him go through this pain. The next morning he woke up, and without skipping a beat, he said, "Mom, why did God make me this way?" And that was sort of the turning point for me, where I realized that I didn't know how to answer my child, and I needed to really research and figure out what was going on. And so when I started researching, I found that 41% of transgender people attempt suicide before they reach adulthood. And that statistic just really shook me to my core. It made me realize that I didn't want a dead daughter. I would rather have a living son. And I knew that I had to do what it took to help my child, even if that meant divorcing my husband, who was a firefighter for the city at the time. So I'm sort of giving you the quick version, but over a 3-year period, I just watched my child go through so much agony and pain. And the moment that we allowed him to be seen as our son, which was only just by changing his pronouns from she to he, changing his room, changing his clothes, which he was already really wearing boy clothing at that point, and allowing him to cut his hair. Once we did those 4 things, we just saw this child go from a sad little girl to one of the happiest little boys on the face of this earth. And I knew that the decision we made to support our son would be met with much hostility and a lot of misunderstanding. I also know that many transgender people are murdered and abused and homeless and kicked out of their home, especially in Brazil. I know that that's one of the worst places to live when you're an LGBT person. But I will tell you that I'm hoping this world will start understanding that these children are amazing just the way they are. And I'm hoping that families out there will start embracing their children and loving them, because at the end of the day, we're all different in various ways. And I tell Rylan, the world would be boring if we were all the same. So I know that this is something that's hard to wrap your head around. I mean, if it took our family as long as it did to understand that our child was transgender, I can only imagine that it would take the world who isn't related to someone transgender a longer time to understand this. But really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. And if we can start identifying these children early on, then they won't have to go through a puberty that they don't identify with. And I found in my own, in the research and the people that I've met so far, if we could just identify these kids like Rylan early on, so that he doesn't have to develop breasts or, go through the changes that would just devastate him, then we can hopefully save them from having to live a life of sadness. So I'm hoping that this message will reach the right people in Brazil, and I hope the parents out there can just stay strong. And I know that this is a really, really hard journey to travel down, but at the end of the day, you're saving your child's life from having to deal with things that they don't want to go through. So I'm hoping that you can read my book. I talk a little bit more about just the things that we went through, and words of support for those of you out there who don't have families that understand. But my best of luck to all of you, and let's keep the love alive.